Good afternoon and welcome to the Midday News. Here's what we have in the bulletin. PNP and supporters stage second round of protests over appointment of Dennis Chung to the FID. Anat gets new state-of-the-art fire station. And later in sports, Reggae Boys beat Guatemala 3-0 in World Cup qualifier. Thank you for joining us. I'm Carrie Simpson. Here are the details. There was another round of protests by the People's National Party and its supporters against the appointment of Dennis Chung as Chief Technical Director of the Financial Investigations Division, FID, this time in Old Harbour Park Square, St. Catherine. The opposition dubbed it a peaceful protest for good governance and institutional integrity. The PNP said it intends to highlight the growing concerns of corruption, political interference, and declining public trust across key sectors, including agriculture, health, and governance. Now, the first protest was held at Heroes Circle in Kingston just over a week ago. After several delays, the Anat Fire Station is back in operation. The extensive upgrade is valued at $70 million. It was a moment of unspeakable joy for firefighters attached to the Anat Fire Station. The ribbon-cutting ceremony symbolizing the official opening of the new fire station.
The rehabilitation of this fire station underscores the ongoing commitment to infrastructural development within the Jamaica Fire Brigade and will no doubt serve to boost the morale of the men and women that operate from this station, as the newly renovated facility is equipped with various amenities.
These amenities include comfortable living quarters, spacious accommodations, and state-of-the-art training facilities. Member of Parliament for St. Mary Southeastern, Dr. Norman Dunn, says the fire station stands as a symbol of his commitment since taking office to close the infrastructure gap in Anat Bay.
Today we stand on the other side of that promise. Town has been transformed. The clinic has been enhanced for better primary health care. The hospital has moved from a type C to a type B institution, elevating the care that we offer. The police station has been refurbished to support stronger community policing, and the tax office now serves the people with greater efficiency.
And for his part, Local Government Minister Desmond McKenzie urged residents of Anat Bay to take care of the facility.
Today, I am happy to be here, and I hope that the people of St. Mary really appreciate this. It is your tax dollar, and I hope that you understand and recognize the importance of all of us being conscious about our responsibility when it comes on to fire prevention.
In the meantime, Mayor of Port Maria Fitzroy Wilson has described the reopening of the Anat Bay Fire Station as timely. He says with the 2025 Atlantic hurricane season now in effect, the Emergency Operations Center will depend heavily on the services of the fire station.
And I know that with this home that is here, they will be able to deliver even better quality service to us and to the public. We're saying that it is good that we have St. Mary's blessed minister, that we have basically 2 new fire stations.
Health Minister Dr. Christopher Tufton says the country is in dire need of specialist nurses. Currently, the public health sector needs close to 2,500 specialized nurses to effectively treat patients. Now, as at December 2024, it had 1,108. The take-up for some categories of specialist nurses range from anywhere between 2 and a little over 55%. Now, some categories have no nurses at all. During Wednesday's post-cabinet press briefing, Dr. Tufton says it's a struggle to hire and even retain critical health workers due to competing markets.
Assess the reason for migration. To some extent, it's influenced by security of tenure. We had too many contracts. People think about retirement and what the benefits will be after they retire. previous to compensation review, probably half of them were on contracts, so no entitlements after. The other is compensation, and the third is normally housing.
In January, the ministry hosted a job fair to fill over 600 vacancies, some of which included the critical care nurses. However, TVJ News understands that the prospects were either not qualified or not interested. Now we put the issue to the health minister.
The system hired about 60 persons. Apparently, there was a lot of duplication. One person, 100 person applying for one job, one particular post. What I am not surprised, because what it's reflective of. So it may not move the needle in terms of December to January, as you have been asking. I'm not surprised because it's reflective of the shortage of the scarce areas in the society.
In light of the significant reduction in crime in St. James, President of the Montego Bay Chamber of Commerce, Jason Russell, is praising the police for their effective crime-fighting strategies. He emphasized that the decline in criminal activity has been a major boost for business operations across the parish.
Business owners in Montego Bay right now are allowing themselves to run later. I would say in the past, once it got dark, people would be closing their shops or bar. I've noticed in recent times, what we know as the round robins are starting to do a lot more business. We're seeing a lot more street side offerings, feeling the ability to open later. And that's because it's safer. That's because they're not worried about drive-by shootings or criminals coming to harass the customers or to rob them and kill them. So what we're seeing now is the perfect climate for small businesses to thrive.
Now, St. James has seen a 60% decrease in murders since the start of the year. The government says it's intensifying efforts to protect cocoa farms from a devastating disease that has threatened yields and livelihoods over the years. Agriculture Minister Floyd Green outlined some of the progress made in combating the frosty pod rot at a recent ceremony in Clarendon.
The frosty pod rot, a fungal disease notorious for wiping out entire cocoa pods, has plagued farmers for years, leading to significant losses in production. But the Agriculture Ministry says it's providing assistance to those affected.
We are on top of the cocoa frosty pod. We don't want to get back to a stage where it is so prevalent that we don't have an industry. So we want you to maintain those gains.
The progress follows a series of interventions which led to the distribution of resistant cocoa varieties and farmers being trained in early detection and management practices.
But what RADA has been able to do is exactly what Mr. Henry spoke about. Transition it from just a project to a farmer-centric model where the farmers are at the forefront of fighting the disease. So you're not just depending on the ministry to send a team out into the field to do its pruning and to do the practices, because that can't be sustained. The farmers have to take the lead.
Our news team spoke with some farmers.
The training, it's helped a lot because they give me chemical and fungicide and I use it on the cocoa and at healing everything.
So I'll encourage the farmers to treat the farm and the farm will take care of them in the future.
With global demand for cocoa steadily rising, the Agriculture Ministry is looking to boost production. Minister Green says improved infrastructure, access to finance and private sector collaboration will be key.
We still have foreign companies knocking at our doors. I've had companies come and sit and meet with me, say they want the Jamaican cocoa. And once we have enough, no problem. But I also am excited, as I started with the local chocolatiers. Because you see, when you can do the value addition here, you maximize your profit.
He was speaking at the handing over ceremony of materials to farmers under the Cocoa Frosty Pod Disease Management Program. Nakinski Robinson, TVJ News.
At least one dietitian is worried that Jamaica could be facing a slow-moving epidemic that will devastate the next generation. Anthony Rattray is reiterating calls for bold and immediate action to address the local food environment. Here's Sandy Williams.
A ticking time bomb is detonating silently in households across the country, and it's costing lives, futures, and billions of dollars. Non-communicable diseases, NCDs, like diabetes, heart disease, and hypertension, alongside mental health disorders, could bleed Jamaica dry. Anthony Rattray is a dietitian.
Studies estimate that over the period of 2015 to 2030, the total losses associated with NCDs and mental health conditions in Jamaica exceeded $18.4 billion.
NCDs do more than damage physical health. They cripple productivity, erode quality of life, and plunge families into financial ruins.
1 in 3 children are either obese or overweight. There was a 94% increase in obesity rates in boys in less than a 10-year period. There's a 47% increase in obesity rates in girls, and over 30,000 children were diagnosed with high blood pressure. Over 30,000 children were diagnosed with high blood pressure. In some schools, there's not even 30,000 children in a space. Imagine a whole school having children being diagnosed with high blood pressure because of our food environment.
Experts believe that a 30-year-old in Jamaica has a 17% chance of dying prematurely from NCDs. That's nearly 1 in 5 lives cut short, not by accident, not by violence, but by preventable conditions. Mr. Rattray says prevention is better than treatment. He emphasizes that investing in public health education, early screenings, and better nutrition could save lives and billions in future costs. But this is more than economics. It's a matter of human rights too. Mr. Rattray points to the UN Convention on the Rights of the Child.
Article 24 highlights that the nation must take the measures to prevent malnutrition through the provision of adequate nutritious foods and clean drinking water.
Jamaica has signed this agreement, and so it's not a suggestion, but a promise. While Jamaica races to a healthy society with the recent passage of the National School Nutrition Policy and launch of Fix My Food Jamaica, there are hurdles along the way. Sandy Williams, TVJ News.
And with that, we take a break. Stay with us. More stories when we return. Welcome back to the Midday News. It's now time for the Business Minute. The net profits of Spurgery Spices tumbled to $12 million on revenues of $336.4 million during the 3-month period ended March 31. This compared with net profits of $28.2 million on revenues of $394.5 million during the corresponding period last year. The reduction was mainly due to the shortage of akis, a key raw material in the company's production for exports. The company, however, says it produced more seasonings, sauces, and dried products in order to meet increased consumer demand. Further afield, China's trade negotiator says the U.S. and China have agreed on a trade framework. Officials for both sides will now take the proposal back to their leaders for approval. This deal comes after the latest round of talks Monday and Tuesday in London. That followed a long-anticipated phone call between President Trump and President Xi last week, as well as talks in Geneva last month. The major sticking points have been China's control over so-called rare earth elements and its access to semiconductor technology originating from the U.S. And that's it for the Business Minute. And here's Shimala Pullen with a preview of what's coming up in this evening's Health Report.
In the next edition of the Health Report, we look at hernias in children.
It is actually quite a common problem. It forms a large percentage of our work as pediatric surgeons, particularly as it relates to what we call day case or same-day surgery, which means the patient will be admitted, surgery performed, and discharged all within a 24-hour period.
That's the Health Report in Primetime News at 7. And now for today's Healthy Living tip. How can you care for your child at home with a hernia? Talk with your doctor about when your child can return to normal activities. Help your child stay at a healthy weight. Keep your child away from smoke. Do not smoke or let anyone else smoke around your child or in your house. and smoking can cause coughing, which can cause the hernia to bulge.
Time now for the top regional and international stories.
In the region, CARICOM Secretary General Dr. Carla Bennett has called for the region to diversify and deepen its trade and economic relations. This against the backdrop of several trade-related challenges facing the region, including the recent tariff shocks instituted by the United States. Dr. Barnett says there must be a redoubling of efforts to explore new markets and develop new partnerships if the region is to advance its goals of economic growth and sustainable development. She was addressing the opening ceremony of the 60th meeting of the Council of Trade and Economic Development underway in Guyana. On the international scene, California Governor Gavin Newsom has filed an emergency motion in federal court to block National Guard members and Marines from assisting with immigration raids in Los Angeles. Mr. Newsom wrote on X that Trump is turning the U.S. military against American citizens. U.S. President Donald Trump originally deployed the Guard to protect federal buildings and personnel. But the governor's request says the state's military department was told the Pentagon plans to direct the California National Guard to start providing support for immigration operations. The president yesterday called protesters animals and a foreign enemy in a speech at Fort Bragg. And those were the top regional and international stories. I'm Antonia Atkinson.
Thank you, Antonia. We now head to another break. When we come back, we'll have your midday sports report.